That's not fair to YouTube. Hey, YouTube, we're here. We've just arrived. We're going to get into all the fun stuff. All the Israel stuff, YouTube. Yeah, let's get into it, boys. YouTube, Israel.
Surface, it seems like this war is one between the United States and Iran. But in reality, what this war really is about is a war between the United States and Israel, where the American empire has become corrupt, incompetent, and arrogant. And so now Israel sees the opportunity to...
Israel took the opportunity because Donald Trump is a wall kisser, okay? He will do anything in his power to listen to these people. He was coerced into listening to Israel, bros. All right? That's the truth of it, man. The president is weak.
Replace the American empire in the system. And it's something that eventually every aspect of the system will agree to do. So the main outcome of this war, when it ends, is that Israel will replace America in the Middle East. America spends a lot of money in its military. America accounts for 41% of all global military spending. Who's next? China. China spends 8.2%. Russia.
America is at 41% and China's at 8.2%. Whoa. A distant second, just to show you the stupidity that America dumps into the industrial war complex.
Which is America's main military enemy, only spends 4.1%, meaning that Russia spends 1/10 the amount of money that America spends. And you think that, okay, well, all this means is that America is invincible. But what people don't recognize is the level of corruption within the American military. The American military is probably the most corrupt institution in the world, by far. No one even comes close, okay? September 10th, 2001, Donald Rumsfeld.
Yet they lead you to believe that, oh no, your tax dollars are at work. Oh, Kia Trump is going to go eat food. So your security dollars are at work protecting her as she buys her peptides. Yo, you guys are fugazi in the States, bro.
Who's the Secretary of Defense for the Americans. He's head of the Pentagon. And this is a day before September 11th, the 9/11 attacks. He said that, he had a press conference and he said that, look, we looked at the Pentagon books, okay? We're trying to do an accounting of the Pentagon military spending and we can't find $2 trillion. There's $2 trillion missing from the budget. It went somewhere, we don't know where, but it went somewhere. So where does the money go? It goes to private contractors. These are all private companies that make a lot of money off the government. So listen at the Boeing company. They had in 1 year, $20 billion from the government. They got $20 billion in contracts from the government. To do so, they had to spend $16 million in order to lobby Congress through advertisements, through political campaigns. And then they bribed, this is a bribe to politicians, they spent $2 million. So this is a really good business to be in. You spend $2 million, you give them bribes to politicians, then you spend $16 million on campaigns, and then you make $20 billion. This is extremely profitable.
That's a crazy return. That's a crazy return. We don't even need to do the math on that, bro. Hey, spend 20 million and you'll make 20 billion? Bro, that's a no-brainer, dog.
The difference, of course, is being picked up by the American taxpayer. The Boeing company is not just a defense contractor, but also makes civilian airplanes. And for these past few years, there's been quite a few cases of civilian airplanes falling out of the sky made by Boeing. So for example, the Boeing 737 MAX, there was a recall because there were some engineering issues with the plane. Now, there have been a couple of whistleblowers who come out and try to say that Boeing is a very corrupt company. And for a reason, they died, okay? They just disappeared.
Yeah, of course. We don't need to get into why they're perishing. But I will say this, when it comes to technology, the people who have technology first before anybody is always the military, right? So the military gets it, uses it for how they want to use it, creates their new war weapons, and then once they deem it to be obsolete or something new is just on the horizon, then they shell it out to us. Cell phones, internet, anything of that sort, it all started with the military first. They wanted the use case of it, and they're using it. Even AI, as advanced as people think it is, just imagine the kind of stuff that the government has, the kind of stuff that the military has that they're using. And this whole idea of quantum computing, I'm sure they have it already. To be able to process so much data and control us even further. Hey, but I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just a fucking guy.
We don't know why, but when they were about to testify against Boeing, they somehow died. This is a really interesting story that shows you the level of corruption in the Pentagon. There is this woman who's a contractor for the Army, and she stole $103 million. That's a lot of money, $103 million. She stole it. The Army didn't know, and she kept on stealing. and no one seemed to care in the army. But then the IRS, this is the Internal Revenue Service, they recognized that she was getting all this money from somewhere, so they investigated her and recognized, oh my God, she's stealing from the army. So the IRS told the army, and that's when the army recognized, oh, we have a problem. The fact that the army didn't notice that she was stealing $103 million tells you, actually, theft in the military is probably a very common thing. Ultimately, what this means is that this corruption in
Bro, they're playing with what is it now? $41 trillion in debt, and the army is spending billions upon billions of dollars. Then they've already dumped in like, what is it, like $3 to $4 billion on this war already. So it goes to show you that, yeah, there's so much money moving around in the military. They don't even notice when money goes missing, air quotes. It doesn't go missing, it goes to niggas' pockets, bro.
And the Pentagon is not really sustainable. So let me discuss why this is a problem for America in Iran. So right now, America is facing three major issues with this war in Iran. The first major issue is a lack of political will, meaning that this war is very unpopular in America. Only 40% of the population currently support this war, and as things go on and on, support will probably
That's a lot.
decrease. You need political will because you need Americans to pay for this war. Trump has asked for $200 billion to fund this war. And also it's possible that Trump will call it the national draft, which I believe will happen. So if Americans don't want to support this war, it's very hard to get them to pay for this war and to go fight this war. Second problem is lack of manufacturing capacity. So in other words, what this means is that if you lose planes, if you use too many bombs, you cannot replenish it because you don't have the factories to produce these planes and bombs quickly enough. And
Imagine working at a bomb factory, bro. What kind of hazard is that? Every day your life is in sheer danger. Does it even pay enough? It has to be more than $20 an hour, bro, because that's ridiculous. Every day, some idiot Fudu in the back could drop something. Oh, boom. Your life is gone, bro.
And so if this war drags on too long, then America will just run out of bombs. Third problem for America is unwillingness to sustain casualties. Okay? And what this means is that the American military is afraid of reporting deaths, casualties, which is weird because in a war, soldiers die. That's just the reality of war. But the Pentagon is afraid of reporting too many deaths because of the fear.
What is up with that nigga, bro? Did you see that? Tell me you guys caught that. Everyone is about to salute, and this guy says, I don't know. I don't know if I should. Check this out.
But the Pentagon is afraid of reporting too many deaths because of the fear of backlash. So these are
and the lady beside him was like, put your hand on your hurt. Put your hand on your hurt. I know you don't care because you're embezzling billions of dollars from the military. But at least try to pretend. I'm telling you, bro, these niggas up there, they don't care about niggas down here.
Three major problems for the American military in Iran. These are the three major constraints. The Americans can't actually resolve these issues, and America will probably lose this war, in which case this gives opportunity for Israel to prove to the world that it should be the empire. And it proves it can be the empire by showing that it does have political will, it doesn't have the manufacturing capacity, but that's Mossad, and it is much more strategic. The last thing is that it is resilient, meaning that it is willing to accept casualties. So basically, the idea here is the global elite, they need an empire to provide the muscle, but the empire must prove that it can serve the needs of the global elite. So an empire must prove three things. First of all, it must prove unity, it must prove it has the resources and the capacity, and it must prove determination. So what Israel is doing really is basically auditioning to the world, we are ready to replace America. We are ready to be the new empire. So let's look at what's happening. America has this MIC. And so the MIC, military industrial complex, what they're good at doing is producing very expensive weapon systems. But unfortunately, when you actually put these weapon systems into war, it doesn't really do anything, okay? So this is the Patriot missile system that's supposed to protect the GCC in Israel and the American military bases from Iranian drones and missiles. Guess what, guys? Doesn't really work, okay? In fact, as you can see from the video, the Iranians can basically fly drones anywhere in the Middle East, and the Americans can't really stop them. So this is billions of dollars.
All this money to build equipment that doesn't even work. Dude, how American is that? Someone explain that to me.
Doesn't really do anything. This is called the F-35. The F-35 is the most advanced fighter jet in the whole world. It has stealth technology, meaning you can't actually...
Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Come on, man. These niggas just dapped it up before they jumped in the F-35. Like, you have that, like, you would think we're at war. But no, you guys have time to dap it up real quick. Your little handshake. Watch.
Billions of dollars doesn't really do anything. This is called the F-35. The F-35 is the most advanced fighter jet in the whole world. It has stealth technology, meaning you can't actually lock onto it using radar. This cost $100 million each. It took 26 years to develop. So you would think, wow, it took 26 years, so this must be really, really good. No, it took 26 years because the MIC is really corrupt, and they want to steal as much money as possible. And in this war, the Iranians have already shot down at least one of these jets. This is not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be able to shoot these things down. But Iranians have shot it down using very low radar. Again, these things, they're not designed to win wars. They're designed to steal as much money as possible from the American taxpayer.
You know what? If Zhang knows this much, he's pretty much outing everybody, dude. So y'all niggas should get your house in order, because there's a professor here, a high school professor, who's just demolishing the entire American society, guys. I don't know. Hey, maybe you guys want your information leaked. Maybe it's all a conspiracy. Shwah!
The last example is the Gerald Ford. This ship cost $13 billion. The annual defense budget for the Iranians is $10 billion. It goes into the war theater, and 3 weeks afterwards, it has to run away. And in fact, the Americans say, oh, the Gerald Ford, this is the most advanced supercarrier in the world. It's probably going to be down for repairs the next 2 years. And there's argument as to what happened. Okay, there are three different possibilities. The first possibility is that there was an accident in the laundry room, and there's a fire, and this fire spread throughout the carrier, okay? Which means that...
Bro, you guys have all this money, all this resources and power, and it's a fire in the fucking laundry room that takes down this $13 billion ship. I think we all must reevaluate what is money and how does one get it in their surrounding area, because this is just bullshit.
Actually, the carrier is not very resilient. Okay, so that's one possibility, and that's what the official story is. But there are also others who say like the Iranians hit the ship with a missile, and so the Gerald Ford can't protect itself from Iranian missiles, so it ran away. The third possibility, the third explanation is the Pentagon recognized that there are severe limitations of the Gerald Ford in actual combat operations. Its radar, its guidance system are all very limited. So the Pentagon withdrew the Gerald Ford because it was absolutely useless in war. Whichever story is true, it doesn't paint a good picture of American military. $13 billion, and this does nothing, okay? It's just a white elephant. And also, this is Iwo Jima, and this...
You know, you would think you would spend $13 billion and you would build it out of some sort of resistant material. You guys said, you know what? No, fuck that. Throw that out the window.
Came in World War II in the Pacific Theater when the Americans were fighting the Japanese. And this is the height of American military glory. It took about 6,000. The Americans lost 6,000 Marines in taking this island. And that's the sacrifice you need in order to win wars. You're going to lose a lot of soldiers. And Americans are proud that they were willing to make the sacrifice necessary to win the war. The problem is Americans are no longer willing to sustain casualties. So the Americans sent about 5,000, around 5,000 Marines to Iran, hoping that 5,000 Marines will be enough to win this war. But it shows you the Americans have no strategy to win this war. They don't want to make the necessary sacrifices to win this war. They want to win this war as quickly and as cheaply as possible, okay? The Israelis are different, okay? This is Gaza. And we all know that what Gaza did was terrible. But again, if you are auditioning to be an empire, Gaza is proof of concept, okay? Meaning it's showing the global elite, look, we're willing to do what it takes to win this war and defend the empire. So this was a tremendous tragedy, and it's all war crimes, okay? And the entire world is aghast. But if you look at Israeli public opinion, 82% support expelling all Palestinians from Gaza. 66% believe Amalek exists today. Amalek is just like Israel has this great enemy that it must defeat. So 66% of Israelis believe that this war against Gaza is a war for the very existence of Israel. Okay? This is unity. This is determination. The Americans don't have this. Most Americans oppose what Israel is doing in Gaza. But Israelis themselves support what's going on. Okay? So there's unity. In 2024, there was the famous Lebanon pager attack, meaning that the Israelis were able to implant bombs into pagers that went to Hezbollah members. And then it blew up. And maybe from a military perspective, it didn't accomplish that much. From a psychological perspective, it accomplished a lot. It scared the living hell out of Hezbollah. It made them paranoid. And it also made the world respect Israel more. And Israel spent $275 million to conduct this operation. That took decades to implement. And you're like, okay, why is Israel telling us this? Because again, Israel is auditioning to be the new empire. It's telling the global elite, look, not only will we fight this war for you, not only will we be your muscle, but we'll do it cheaply, man. Not billions of dollars, millions of dollars. This is ISIS. ISIS is Islamic State. And this.
What a crazy message, bro. We will fight the war and we will be number one, just like the Americans, but we will do it at a cheaper cost. What kind of messaging is that? Why does the control of nations have to even occur at all? Sure, we can break it down to the idea of biology, the idea of we haven't been able to escape our primary paradigm of being apes, and so we fight over control and resources and women and biology and the simple things of what it means to be simple mitochondria. Sure, we could say that. Is that still what's possibly true? I guess so. Maybe that's why the aliens won't let us into the Galactic Federation on Saturn, because we haven't learned to think outside of our primal needs. I don't know. I'm just a guy.
This is considered a terrorist organization. These Sunni extremists who go around and beheading people. Now, this is from the New York Times, and the yellow tells you areas in which they operate. And as you can see, it's really across the Middle East. And the red are incidents of attacks directed by ISIS. Now, something that's really funny about all this is ISIS attacks everywhere in the Middle East except for one country. That country is Israel. Okay? Really funny how you have these Muslim extremists going around committing all sorts of atrocities everywhere in the Middle East except Israel. And so that's why a lot of people believe that Islamic State is actually a creation of Mossad. But again, Israel is happy for
Girl, these weapons, bro.
For the world to know this, because again,
dear God, man.
Israel is auditioning to be the new empire. And what Israel is saying is, we don't have to use the American strategy of just bombing everyone to death. That's expensive, that's brutal, and it's not very strategic. We can use Mossad to infiltrate groups and use these groups against their comrades, their neighbors. Is that much more efficient? Is that much more effective? So what Israel is saying is, we are much better at controlling the Middle East than the Americans. So let us control the Middle East using our strategies. This is a story of a Mossad agent who was disguised as an ISIS preacher. And this happens a lot. There are lots of stories where you have these ISIS commanders or agents, and when you arrest them, you discover, okay, actually, they're actually Mossad. So ISIS is basically a Mossad operation.
Neither of these factions are making a point for why they should be ruling the world. That's the stupidest ideologies ever. And the fact that only 40% of people in America are against the war is still too high. That's almost a 50-50 split, 1 and 2. That doesn't, the 60-40, that's a terrible split. How can you get tricked by the propaganda and memes of the White House into going into war, dude? Operation Epic Fury, it's bullshit.
The main story here is, if you look at history, the relationship between Israel and America is actually pretty simple. Israel is the pit bull for America. The problem with an empire as it grows old is it doesn't want to do bad things. It wants to feel good about itself. Therefore, it subcontracts the violence, the murder, the genocide to different people, to mercenaries, the Israelis in the Middle East. And this is a pattern throughout human history, where Israel was created by the British and Americans to be their pit bull, to be their aircraft carrier in the Middle East, to create as much instability as possible so that the Americans and the British could control the oil supply in the Middle East. And this has gone on for decades. And now the Israelis are like, wait a minute here. We're the ones doing all the work. We're the ones making all the sacrifices. We're the ones that are getting all the hate in this world. So why shouldn't we be the empire now? America's useless, right? So this is a pattern throughout human history. And so we're going to look at what this means. So Israel has something called the Greater Israel Project. And this is what extremists in Israel believe. They believe that God in the Bible promised the entire Middle East to the Jewish people, okay? Extending from the Nile in Egypt all the way to the Euphrates in Iraq. And it also encompasses Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, and parts of Turkey as well. Now, something really funny about this map is this. Iran, Persia, is not part of the Greater Israel Project. So then you're asking yourself, wait a minute here. If Iran is actually not part of the Greater Israel Project, then why is Israel going to war with Iran? Well, the reason why is, if they want all this territory, their main enemy is not Syria, that's been destroyed. It's not Iraq, that's been destroyed. It's not Saudi Arabia, it's too weak. Not Jordan, it's too weak. Not Egypt, it's too weak. Not Lebanon, it's too weak, okay? Their main enemy is the American Empire. In the Greater Israel Project, it's the Americans that control the land of Greater Israel, the Middle East. These are American bases. So in other words, you use this war against Iran to destroy the American Empire. How? By forcing the American Empire to go and invade Iran.
Thus weakening the resources, thus going into over expenditures because of the war, thus separating its people and causing divide. And then this is how you completely destroy the American empire. Oh, well, you know what? That's not a bad tactic. When you really look at it, you're getting these two countries to fight amongst themselves. And then once all the chaos ensues and stops, they will come out victorious. They will give the final blow to the head to take down the enemy, whoever is left standing. That's, you know what? It's such a cartoonish style of going about doing something. It's so ridiculous. It just might work. I hope not. War is bad and stupid. That's my consensus. All right, let's get into the next video. You guys rocking with the stream today? I'm on firing on all cylinders today, boys. Told y'all niggas, everything is always working out for me. All right, let's get into this next video.
All right.
I told y'all niggas, everything is working out for me, guys. Everything is always working out for me. All right, next up we have Sneeko with possible allegations that he might be a pussy bomba clot ass nigga.
Bomba pussy clot.
I don't know. This is just what the internet is saying.
All right. It now appears that Sneeko and his former daddy Tate, pause, holy are now beefing. I do want to say Sneeko used to glaze the F out of Andrew Tate. It's almost as if he forgot who his real biological father was and just used Andrew Tate as his adopted dad. Apparently, Andrew Tate just came out with big news exposing Sneeko.
It's not really big news. This is probably like 2 weeks old, bro. But I guess maybe there's new information that I didn't know.
Neo on Twitter said Andrew Tate reveals why he and Kanye had to stop associating with Sneeko. He said, and I quote, "The two biggest idols in his life, me and Ye, both cut him off. The constant betrayal."
The two biggest idols in his life, me and Ye, both cut him off.
And you know that Sneeko was glazing the hell out of Kanye and Andrew Tate at the same time. Once again, pause.
Two biggest idols in his life, both, when they spent time with him, had to cut him off. There's a common denominator. Because the actions he undertakes, the snakery, the sneakiness, the constant betrayal, that's why he finds himself in the position he's in. Even the few friends he has.
Yeah, but okay. It's easy for Andrew to go around naming all this shit, but he never actually says what happened.
Left, he's constantly warring with, insulting, trying to make content about in a negative way. It's his problem, it's not our problem. But I think it says a lot that both Ye and I had to cut him off.
And, you know, you can only imagine how Sneeko responded to this entire situation. He said, "This clown ratted me out on the PBD podcast, the Paul Bet
David! Patrick Bet David, not Paul. It's Patrick Bet David, nigga.
David podcast, I believe it's called, and has been spiraling since. Manosphere hates him for apologizing over a song. Muslims don't respect him for siding with Tommy Robinson, the Epstein, I can't say that word, but it starts with a pro, and white nationalists despise the mulatto pimp. Now he's a Sneeko clipper. Basically, Sneeko's insinuating that he's using his name for clout. And in the comment section, oh my god, someone said, "Look at me, I'm the top G now with this." I think it's photoshopped photo of Sneeko. Is this real or not? I don't know, man. I wouldn't be. Listen, be honest. Sneeko used to be a model, right? So he was into all this extra sparkly, bedazzled, zesty affairs. Another person commented below saying, "You guys did the meme with Sneeko and Andrew Tate fighting. Two birds fighting, they say." Okay. Another person said, "Sneeko, you literally made your brand following Tate's advice. Now you're going to backstab him and pretty much anyone else, including Nick. Now you're going against him because he, quote unquote, ratted you out. Bruh, you're not a tough street/prison person. The term ratted me does not apply here." Another person said, "Well, at least Sneeko got a month worth of content out of Ye, while Andrew Tate is too much of a P-word to drop his podcast with him." And I guess they're referring to this this video right here where Sneeko was seen collaborating on Kanye's new album. Apparently it was removed though, but here he was doing his thing. Here it is.
And yeah, I see all the lights, and damn, she finds you want all the time.
Excuse me, what's happening, bro? Why would he take it off? What's happening right now? Yo, there's a deeper secret lurking in the background here, guys. There's a deeper secret lurking in the background.
All my time, goodbye.
Well, let's stop that. People in the comment section are now saying, "Sounds like an effing retard at that. Kanye really gave him the 15 minutes of fame and then took back 14 of them." I just gotta say, I mean, it didn't sound that bad. Let's be honest. It was audible. It was bearable. You know, I could listen to it, you know, without potentially getting a headache. Another person said, "N-word's a leech and Kanye knows to get his grifter ass away from his shit." Here we have this one clip that says, Nick Fuentes says Kanye West hates Sneeko for this reason here.
I always like when Sneeko talks about how like Kanye like chewed him out, like kicked him off the team.
Ye hates him.
Dude, because
he's like an AI language model.
Yeah,
in the sense that like It's not actually conscious or thinking. It's just like predicting what sounds the most correct based on like approval or disapproval. You know?
Exactly.
Wait a minute. Did they just call this man a bot? They're calling Sneeko a digital bot. And the crazy thing about all this is that it was not too long ago where Andrew Tate actually suggested that.
But this was also, if you look at the grift that Sneeko was doing, you could call it a grift if you guys want. I'm not necessarily saying it's a grift, but the internet as a whole, they claim it to be a grift, is the conversion to Islam. The reverting to Islam, they say it was a grift. Listen, check this out. Let's just have a chat one-on-one real quick. If you understand what it means to make content, you live and die by the views and relevancy that you have, right? Like, this becomes your whole life now. And as somebody who is literally in the shit right now firsthand, there's a lot of moments where the content I start to create is tailored based on whatever the item of the jour is, you know, item of the day, whatever the hot trend is, right? So I'm covering things regarding the Iran war and educating myself on the subject, mainly because I know it brings views. As stupid as that sounds, that's the truth behind it, right? Skin me alive if you want. But if you look at Sneeko, wouldn't someone that makes money off of views follow the same road? It's not like I'm some sort of content genius, but what was it? The red pill, and then Islam, and then we don't even know what now. I guess just snaking everybody to... So I don't know. I'm not saying per se that these are the facts. This is all allegedly in my opinion, but it's just an interesting look when you have to look at how content creators move. Hey, everyone's looking for a bag, and sometimes getting involved with people or doing this, we all know it's all just for the clout. If your numbers aren't up, you're not collaborating with certain people. So, hey guys, I don't know. I haven't crossed that road yet, but if I come to that road where I start grifting, well, I guess we already talked about grifting the Iran war, so...
He goes, yeah, and that he had a crazy homoerotic obsession with it.
He was obsessed with me. And I thought he just wanted to be famous, and that turned out to be a homosexual obsession.
Nah, I just gotta say, what could possibly trigger Andrew Tate to say some outlandish shit like this? But it gets even worse.
To come, he came there and started acting really fruity and really weird. He started telling me that he had this cuck thing that was exposed. He had this big cuck scandal, and he asked me what I think about cucking and if it's normal to explore your sexuality and if I've ever tried it. And I said, look, I'm older than you, bro, and I've never tried that. I don't think that's...
Now, I just gotta say, Sneeko, if these allegations are true, brother, and you were out here having questions for Andrew Tate regarding cuckism and homoerotic obsessions with him because you idolized him, then that's kind of weird.
And they start saying, isn't it normal just to try new things? Don't you think it's normal to be curious? How do you know if you're really gay or not unless you've tried being gay? And then I realized he was coming on to me.
Oh my God, bro. And then he what?
And then I realized he was coming on to me.
He was coming on to him. Hey man, I really don't know what to make of this. In the comments, someone said, turns out both are gay. Hey, if they swing that way, I got nothing else to say. And by the way, for those of you who are watching on Spotify, please be sure to head on over to Maury in the Morning, follow the page, and rate the show 5 stars. That would be very much appreciated. But of course, now Sneeko has responded to the allegations. And of course, this was from a few weeks ago, but given the revelation of this new video that just popped up today, I think you guys pretty much need this type of context.
So you're gonna spend 5 minutes, what are you gonna say? You're gonna call me gay? That's what you got, that's the big reveal? Years of threatening to end my careers, you're gonna call me gay? Bring up fake pictures and then leaked images that I sent a girl when I was 17 years old? You're gonna tell your clippers to post underage pictures of me? 1, that's a crime, and 2, half of those things are fake. Then people are gonna say, oh, you did gay porn. I didn't do, but half of these are fake, and the other ones were sent and leaked, and people, they face consequences for that. Obviously, it's embarrassing. I don't want to keep talking about it. It's over 10 years ago. Not my best moment. Not proud of that. Yeah, did I think that girl was going to leak it? No, it is what it is.
And yeah, as for the footage that he's referring to, guys, I'm not entirely sure. I've not seen anything of the sort. But yet again, you know, Sneeko's cuck history is coming back to bite him in the ass. Someone said, no, but you literally consciously allowed your girl to get effed by another man. Jesus Christ. Another person said, half of these are fake. Half? Oh yeah, that's...
Well, like, that doesn't make the situation any better, dude. What the fuck do you mean by that?
The chat also posted this in the comment section.
Have you ever looked at a person of the same sex and felt attracted in a sexual way? I'm gonna say, chat, we're being honest. We're being honest. It's happened.
Hey, well, you guys are free to make of that.
Hey, there's nothing, ain't nothing wrong with. Listen, be as open as you want, I guess. Right?
What you will. Again, I am only just showing you.
Right? Be as open as you want, guys. Oh, well, I'm gonna go watch a Sneeko stream. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Shout out to Sneeko. That is an old video. I'm sure it was something he just had in the vault, and then he posted it. He might have posted it later. He might understand the idea of not competing with the news when it's out, and waiting until the hot shit dies down. You know, that could be a thing. Is that a technique? I'm not sure.
It's the year.
Okay. Let's get into yet another Mr. Beast hit piece, guys, because why not? Huh? Why not?
1867, a bearded philosopher named Karl Marx sits in the dim light of the British Museum, scribbling the foundational texts of Das Kapital. He is writing about a terrifying future where every human interaction is reduced to a cold transaction, a world where even kindness is a commodity bought and sold for a profit. He had no idea.
You know what would be the best startup? Kindness Tech or Kindness Corp. A corporation whose entire methodology and MO is to give kindness to the world. You have to buy kindness now. The world is so evil and corrupt. Even your mom won't say she loves you. So you have to call up Kindness Corp, and then they'll give you a ring around 7 o'clock each and every night telling you how much they love you. Kindness Corp.
That over 150 years later, he would describe the career of Jimmy Donaldson, Mr. Beast, with frightening accuracy. We view Mr. Beast as the internet's greatest philanthropist, a modern-day saint who builds wells and pays for surgeries. But through a Marxist lens, Mr. Beast isn't the solution to capitalism's failures. He is its final, most dystopian evolution. He has perfected an economy where human desperation is gamified, and charity is no longer an act of mercy, but a high-yield digital asset. Marx warned us that under late-stage capitalism,
so this is what I was saying before. The idea of content creators. They're just essentially, I will say this, we just grift. We attach ourselves to whatever is the thing that's going to keep this parasitic animal that we've created, this narcissistic entity, which is ourselves, keeping them alive. We'll do whatever it takes.
everything, even our empathy, would have a price tag. Mr. Beast didn't just find that price tag, he built a billion-dollar empire on it. This is how the world's most popular creator perfected the exact dystopian economy Marx predicted over a century ago: commodity fetishism. In the first volume of Das Kapital, Marx introduces a concept that explains why Mr. Beast's videos feel so mesmerizing yet so hollow. He wrote, "A commodity appears at first sight an extremely obvious trivial thing, but its analysis shows that it is a very queer thing, abounding in metaphysical subtleties and theological niceties. When you watch a Mr. Beast video, what are you actually looking at? You see a suitcase filled with $100,000. You see a brand new Lamborghini. You see a house being given to a homeless family. To the average viewer, these are just good deeds. But to Marx, these are commodities in their most fetishized form. In a Mr. Beast production, money is never just a medium of exchange, it is a prop. It is a visual effect designed to trigger a biological response. Marx argued that commodity fetishism occurs when the social relationships between people are masked by the exchange of objects. Think about it. When Jimmy hands a random person $50,000 for staying in a circle, we aren't seeing a social connection. We are seeing a person's value reduced entirely to the cash in their hand. We don't see the
They turn into props. But Mr. Beast already said this himself. He said that he's not the most entertaining type of person. He's just someone, I guess, in the early days, who's willing to put himself through challenges. And now that he's found the perfect recipe where he just has to be the host, he can take these things that are commodities and things of that sort and bring them on the big screen. Because when you really think of it, all these things Mr. Beast is giving you, aside from the philanthropy, okay, is all just, like he said, commodities and things that are mainly just liabilities. The house, you got a mortgage on it now, a 30-year mortgage, you're locked in, you don't make payments, the house goes to the bank. This expensive, luxurious vehicle that you get from Mr. Beast, if you don't have the proper points on your insurance, you're not going to be able to pay for this car. And if you are, you probably won't be able to keep up with the payments. Whoops, your car is gone, all right? And number 3, a bag of cash, where you're going to reduce yourself to just being a slave and doing dumb shit and dancing around like a monkey for money? Huh? Well, that's fine. But just like he's saying, it's all stupidity, dude.
systemic poverty that
Oh, and talking about the wells is good. That's a great thing. But he uses that to pull on your guys' heartstrings to be like, oh my God, look at Mr. Beast. He's so nice. When he knows that gets the views. He just builds the well as just another piece of content. He knows this is going to get a lot of views and people are going to love him. So let's just build another well. He's not really helping the people because he likes helping them. He likes helping them because the money it puts into his account, dude. Building one well probably will cost him at $100,000 at most. The AdSense revenue he makes on that video is a completely different laughing matter.
Makes that $50,000 a life-altering miracle. We only see the magic of the money itself. The money becomes a godlike entity that solves all problems, hiding the ugly reality of the labor and desperation that created the need for the money in the first place. Mr. Beast is not giving away money in the traditional sense. He is converting human struggle into a high-yield digital asset. Marx warned that in a capitalist society, all that is holy is profaned. The sacred act of charity has been stripped of its human soul and redesigned to satisfy a recommendation algorithm. It is the ultimate commodification. Kindness itself has become a product you can subscribe to. Human alienation. Marx's theory of alienation is perhaps his most haunting critique of how capitalism breaks the human spirit. In his economic and philosophic manuscripts of 1844, he wrote, "The worker becomes all the poorer the more
Is Jimmy wearing Gucci slides, or is that not Jimmy?
wealth he produces, the more his production increases in power and range. The worker becomes an ever cheaper commodity, the more commodities he creates." Now, look at a Mr. Beast challenge. A participant is placed in a white room for 100 days. Another is buried alive for 50 hours. Another survives in a wilderness for a week. On the surface, it's a game, but in Marx's terms, it is pure alienation. The participant is the worker, and their production is their own suffering. They are separated from their family, their environment, and their basic human needs, all to produce a spectacle for a global audience. Marx argued that under capitalism, the worker is alienated from their species essence, their true human nature. By placing people in sensory deprivation or extreme physical conditions just to pay off student debt or buy a house, Mr. Beast literally strips them of their humanity to see how much value can be squeezed out of their endurance. They aren't there because
This guy is winning on this video right now, dude. He's breaking down Mr. Beast into just this. First of all, Mr. Beast, what the fuck is this, bro? You're gonna wear a gray shirt and not do the top button underneath? Like, this thing doesn't know how to put clothes on, bro. The fuck is that? Aside from being a egomaniac, this nigga doesn't know how to put clothes on. What a footy, bro.
they want to play a game. They are there because they are economically coerced. In one video, a man stays in a circle for months to win money for his family. We watch his mental health decline. We watch him weep. This is exactly what Marx meant when he said the worker's labor becomes an object, an external existence that exists outside him, independently as something alien.
You know what's crazy about this? We watch Mr. Beast being like, yeah, Mr. Beast is helping all these people, but we're addicted to the demise that happens on camera to these people. Their mental state, their psyche is deteriorating. And we're all just laughing, eating our Mr. Beast Fundamals or whatever the fuck the nigga is shelling out, whatever kind of goy slop he's putting out into the market, and we just eat it up. Without realizing that the man is literally part of the entire ethos and landscape of a destroying society. Of a society on a decline, dude.
To him. The contestants' pain is no longer their own. It belongs to the Beast brand. It is a raw material, like coal or iron, mined from the human psyche and sold to us as entertainment. The more the contestant suffers, the more wealth the video generates. They are a cog in a machine that requires their total alienation to function. They sell their life activity to
the Mr. Beast empire requires human souls. That's how Mr. Beast makes his money, off of human souls. Hey, I told y'all niggas from a long time, I was like, I don't like this nigga, Mr. Beast. There's something about him that's weird. I told y'all niggas this, man.
obtain the means of subsistence, turning their very existence into a game of survival, exchange value. To understand the genius and the horror of the Mr. Beast model, we have to look at how he treats human life as a balance sheet. Marx famously distinguished between use value and exchange value. In value, price, and profit, he noted, as exchange values, all commodities are merely definite quantities of congealed labor time. Take the video where Mr. Beast pays for 1,000 people to have cataract surgery. The use value of that act is immense. 1,000 people can now see. It is a genuine good. But in the logic of the channel, the exchange value is what matters. The cost of the surgeries is a variable capital investment. The congealed labor time is the months of planning and editing. The goal, to produce a thumbnail and a title that generates a surplus value of 150 million views. If curing 1,000 people only generated 100 views, the Beast empire would collapse. The mercy is only viable if it is marketable. This creates a terrifying feedback loop. Marx warned that capital must always seek to expand because the cost of curing blindness or building 100 houses is so high, the next video must be bigger, louder, and more viral to pay for the last one. This is the commodified charity loop. It is a self-sustaining microeconomy where the viewer's attention directly funds the next spectacle of wealth distribution. You, the viewer, are the consumer of this charity. Your attention labor is what gives the video value, which the brand then harvests to buy more good deeds. It turns the audience into passive participants in a digital coliseum. We aren't being inspired to help, we are being conditioned to watch. Marx believed that the market eventually turns everything into a quantity. In the Mr. Beast universe, there is no quality of mercy. There is only the quantity of people helped versus the cost per click. It is a cold, calculated breakdown of the human heart into a spreadsheet. Capital accumulation. Marx's most famous command for the capitalist was accumulate, accumulate. That is Moses and the prophets. He understood that capital is not a
That's true. Have you guys never noticed how much bigger and stronger and more outlandish each Mr. Beast video gets? because he has to feed the demon now. He has to feed this entity that only requires human souls. And who's watching on the other side? We are. In a way, we are also the ones propping up Mr. Beast and allowing him to make all this. Because as of yet, I don't think the majority of people, shout out to the 400 million subscribers that the guy has or whatever, but I don't think they've caught on to the game, realizing that he's not a great Gatsby. All right? He might be at this point a satanic entity.
Thing, but a process. It has to move, it has to grow. If it stops, it dies. Jimmy Donaldson often says in interviews that he has $0 in his bank account because he reinvests every penny back into his videos.
Mr. Beast ends every single month with $0 in his bank account.
I mean, at the end of the day, I could spend less for videos if I want to. I'm just focused on making the best videos possible, period. I don't care about making money. I don't care about time. I don't care about, I just want to make the best videos on the planet. But at any point, if I was like, oh, I need to stop losing money, don't spend $1 million on the next video, just spend 100 grand. You know what I mean?
Many see this as the ultimate proof of his selflessness, but to a Marxist, this is the most aggressive form of capital accumulation imaginable. Jimmy is not a person. He is the personification of capital. By refusing to consume his wealth and instead dumping it back into production, he is accelerating the growth of his beast empire at a rate that traditional charities could never dream of. Marx described the MCM cycle. Money is converted into a commodity, which is then sold for more money. Mr. Beast has perfected the MSM cycle. Money is converted into a spectacle, which is then sold for more money. Because he reinvests 100%, he is able to build a monopoly of attention. He creates a barrier to entry so high that no other creator can compete. This is the microeconomic engine your client asked about. By operating at a break-even point on individual videos, he is actually building a massive, high-yield digital asset, the brand itself. This brand can then launch Feastables, Mr. Beast Burger, and massive merchandising lines. The charity is the marketing department for a global conglomerate. Marx warned that as capital accumulates, it centralizes. We see this today. One man now controls the charity narrative for the entire internet. He has become a private state, providing the services like water, housing, and healthcare that the actual state has failed to provide. He is the benevolent dictator of the digital age, exactly the kind of prince of industry Marx feared would replace traditional society. The Reserve Army. Finally, we have to look at the people who aren't in the videos. Marx spoke of the Industrial Reserve Army, a mass of desperate, unemployed people who exist on the fringes of society. He wrote, "The Industrial Reserve Army, during the periods of stagnation, weighs down the active labor army. During the periods of overproduction and paroxysm, it holds its pretensions in check. In every Mr. Beast challenge, there are 100, 1,000, or even 10,000 people, but for every person in that video, there are millions more in the comments begging for a chance. Jimmy, please help me pay my mom's medical bills. Like, Jimmy, I'm about to lose my house." This is the Reserve Army of the Beast economy. They are the millions of desperate souls who make the contest.
So they can get switched out at any time. They're part of the Goyim. They can get switched out at any time. And there's just an ever replaceable pot of human souls to take and sap energy from, dude. Oh, it's pure, pure, pure. Is it evil? I don't think Marxist said it was evil. I think he just said this is what is the evolution of what this would be, capitalism.
Replaceable. Marxism teaches us that the system needs this desperation to function. If everyone had a house, if everyone had healthcare, if everyone had their debt paid off, Mr. Beast's content would be boring. There would be no stakes.
Right, but society also as a whole would have no stakes. So this is just a reflection of current society, because nothing can move to the top unless it already is there, in a sense that it has to already be something that the public resonates at a frequency the public resonates at, or else Mr. Beast's content wouldn't resonate with so many people. So he's more a figure of the current status quo of society, reflection of the people, which is why people want to be saved by the Beast. Mr. Beast, the Beast, Baphomet, Mark of the Beast. Hey, I don't know. This could be Satan in human form. And for I sent my only son down to earth, Satan.
Spectacle relies on the existence of a massive suffering underclass. The Reserve Army is what gives the video its tension. Mr. Beast is not a bad person. In fact, by all accounts, he's a very nice one. But that's the point. Marx wasn't interested in whether the capitalist was nice. He was interested in what the system forced them to do. We aren't watching a man fix the world. We are watching a man prove that the world is broken beyond repair. And the scare.
I told you, that's what I was saying. It's a reflection of the current state of society. That's all he could ever really be. He's not going to be more than us. You can't be more than the paradigm of society. You know, sometimes it's important to watch smart videos because you niggas love the goy. All right? You love goy too much. You love goy slop way too much. All right, what's next on the docket, guys? Let's do one more. Which one? What is Bible teaches for Christian the song to a prostitute. Fleur Electra, get it right. Okay, what's on? This about creativity.
For much of
Hold on, why fun text jobs went extinct? All right, let's do this, and then we'll do the Bible creativity one, and then yeet. All right. We'll do Bible creativity, and then I think that.
of my young Caucasian life, Silicon Valley has been a whimsical candy land of office ping pong, fuchsia nap pods, and surprisingly boring threesomes with the Winklevoss twins behind the kombucha tap. But lately, the big swinging pendulum of tech culture has swung noticeably back in a significantly more hardo direction. I should know because they post about it all the time.
Been going harder than ever. I don't have time to sit and relax.
In San Francisco, you're very high status. If you work very hard.
My day usually kicks off around 4:30 in the morning.
I literally just pulled a couple of 12-hour stays.
All the companies I was interviewing with were like, we work 7 days a week in office, or like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
SF tech workers are working.
What is that? You guys are slavery. They're trying to replace you with robots at this point, so you should just take it.
Saturdays.
In a typical week, I work pretty much every waking hour.
92 hours per week.
I'm either sleeping or around the people that I work with.
Well, some of us have the balls to sleep with the people we work with. But I digress. So what happened? What compelled this new generation of babyface nerds to suddenly start grinding their dicks off?
I think it's because their jobs are at stake, bro. With this AI stuff, a robot can come in and replace you, so you better show why you deserve to keep this job that you have. That's my suggestion or idea or opinion. Better yet, I digress.
Time to take a look-see. If you're looking for a job at a high-flying tech startup today, it won't be uncommon to find descriptions demanding you work 12-plus-hour days, 6 or 7 days a week. This is a noticeable shift from the tech culture of the open office scene. A 10-year period during the Obama years when Silicon Valley-type companies were dominated by the stupidest office amenities that could be conjured by the great millennial brain.
Facebook has the classic Silicon Valley office style. There are games to give your brain a rest from programming, or you can ripstick and work on a knotty coding problem at the same time.
We have open cloning time that's free for employees or interns.
The rooms Google has created include ski gondolas in the Zurich office, a pub-like meeting room in Dublin, and a sidewalk cafe in Istanbul.
So it's essentially the same phenomenon with the play places at McDonald's. They used to have them. We used to go there, eat after a good game of sport with the lads, go and jump on the jungle gyms, and then they said, get rid of the fun. The goyim don't need fun. They just need the slop. Well, here we are, guys.
Place is complete without a nap pod.
This is a conference room in here.
It's the idea behind this is the employees should own their individual space and be as creative as possible, and we shouldn't get in the way.
Ah, yes, what a dream it must have been to get laid off by some crisscross applesauce 20-something inside of the Android mascot play place.
A big turning point was the day that Elon Musk took over Twitter, now known as X, and declared this was going to be a hardcore work environment, and anyone who didn't want to sleep under their desk could just quit now.
Margaret O'Mara is a professor and historian of Silicon Valley, and the man that she is referring to is Elon Reeve Musk, a South African internet personality born in 1971.
That kind of gave permission for other companies to swing away from a kind of kinder, gentler capitalism, let's call it, and say, yeah, if we're going to really be, really compete, let's get down to basics. Let's work on developing and shipping product, and that's going to require a lot of hard work.
Indeed, when it comes to what's...
Okay, so, more responsibility, more time, less mental health. I can see where the pendulum is swinging 80% hard this way, right? Whatever you said at the start of the video. It seems as though they want more out of you for less. Hey, at this point, you might as well get all the prosthetics and the Neuralink and turn yourself into a robot.
Some young startup employees have called the Great Lock-In. Elon may actually have just been the last straw to, how you say, gag the camel. But it's not just Musk that's got these keyboard warriors sweating it out.
There's another dynamic going on in San Francisco too called escaping the permanent underclass. And it's this idea that the gains of the AI boom are going to go to a top few and everybody else is going to live in virtual serfdom.
Raya Jetta is a reporter for the San Francisco Standard covering tech culture in Silicon Valley who introduced me to some very chill-sounding ideas.
Some tech founders I meet are kind of like, I need to work really hard right now so I can escape the permanent underclass, and they truly believe that that's the direction the world is going in.
Now, I don't know if any of you folks have heard of something called AI, but it's a technological development that is causing the great people of San Francisco to go bat fucking insane. There's a belief spreading across certain sects of the valley that once AI gets smart enough, it will divide the world into two groups: a permanent underclass of unemployed people who have had their jobs taken over by artificial intelligence, and a small group of super rich people who built the one super AI to rule them all for the rest of time. And while all this sounds like a
what is this divide? This societal divide? First off, I could see how that could be crazy, but you know what would be the craziest thing? Here, check this out. The craziest thing about this is that even the underlings who jobs were taken by AI and are now, shunned into obsolete serfdom? Sure, whatever. There's going to be a lot of niggas in there. Like, not niggas is like in niggas, like niggas is in people. That are still going to worship the AI and beg for essentially its validation. I'm telling you right now.
Shitty YA novel set to turn into an even shittier movie. There are admittedly some objective reasons an anxious young software engineer might come to this conclusion. Like how right now the big tech kahunas keep firing people and blaming the layoffs on advances in artificial intelligence, while dozens of AI startups are turning their founders into billionaires.
You're constantly being fed the narrative like by these big companies like Microsoft saying like, we're replacing a bunch of our early to mid-level engineers with AI, right?
Maceo Quick. Well, he's a software engineer and startup founder in New York City who started his career working long hours at a tech startup.
You're thinking, I am 21, I just graduated college, I don't have a ton of work experience. If AI does replace a bunch of software engineers, I'm definitely not high on the totem pole. Like, I'm probably going to be one of the people who's struggling to find a job. And when you have that kind of anxiety in the back of your mind, it's pretty easy to put off like, oh, I'll live life later. Maybe, especially at startups, the whole mindset is if this makes it big, I'm gonna become a multimillionaire, right? Even when I was applying for that job and I was interviewing with other startups, it was more common than not to be 996. So it would be more uncommon for them to be like, yes, we have great work-life balance.
996 is also the same methodology and work theory that they use in China. In China, you're actually celebrated. China! We love China! China! We love China. So it's celebrated to work constantly. Have no life at all and just work constantly. And then there's also the shortage of jobs. So as you can clearly see here out here in the West, no job, like they want to fill jobs, but then they'll tell you that there's not enough jobs. And then the pricing of everything is really expensive. And so you're pretty much priced out to be a lackey. So it seems.
And for those who are unaware, 996 is what?
9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week.
For working?
For working.
Just straight working?
Yes.
The so-called 996 work schedule was popularized by big Chinese tech firms like Alibaba and ByteDance. Then American companies imported it from China, even though it sucks. And since then, it's become one of those half meme, half reality things where people post a ton just to show off how hard they grind. How much of this is like people being performative online, and how much of it is people actually prescribing to a true, proper Chinese 996 schedule?
It's funny, we've got Chinese peptides, Chinese work culture, what's actually really happening here. But basically, I would say a large part of it is performative. And so, and we can sort of get up in arms about like, oh, like they're performative, they're pretending, those sorts of things.
Jaden Clark is a podcast host and Silicon Valley commentator known as Creatine Cycle on Twitter, where he's exposed to thousands of tech bros bragging about their workload.
There actually is a little bit of utility to it when you kind of dig a little bit. You might be performing for VCs, for example. So
No, stop it. I'm not going to. I don't approve that. I don't approve 996. Okay, I don't approve it. What sense does that make? You're gonna spend 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, dude. 6 days a week. You have a day and a half of rest. A day and a half of rest, right? You have a day and a half. No, sorry. What am I saying? You have a day of rest and then 3 hours from the previous day. So you really have 3 hours, 27 hours of rest. The rest, we want it. This is just more souls being dumped into the machine.
Venture capitalists, right? If you can sort of display your grind set, a lot of decision makers, a lot of VCs, a lot of LPs tend to spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, a lot of VCs tend to spend a lot of time on x.com. So it really is just like a surface area thing. And I would say, if it helps you get in front of these VCs, half of the battle is just getting the meeting when it comes to raising venture capital. And so if that converts to a meeting, great. That I would say job done. Do you risk coming across as cringe? Yes. Are VCs cringe a lot of the time? Also, yes.
Folks, you ever wonder if there's more out there into the aesthetic empowerment looks maxing community? So come on, it's Philippians 4:13. But you also want $100 million bestowed upon you by the pantheon of Silicon Valley gods known as venture capitalists. And that's one of the reasons LinkedIn and X are flooded with companies, founders, and engineers trying to publicize that they'll do nothing except drink Celsius and vibe code until they've excreted the next software unicorn. But while this might seem pretty hardcore to those who grew up around Google cuddle puddles, it actually harkens back to the founding era of Silicon Valley.
One historical parallel comes with the semiconductor industry in the 60s and 70s, the kind of the original industry that put the silicon into Silicon Valley. These companies like Intel, Fairchild Semiconductor, AMD, some ones that are still making chips today. Those were notoriously hardworking places. It was noticed whose car was the first in the parking lot in the day and the last one to leave at night. The people who ran those companies, many of them went on to found some of the marquee venture capital firms in Silicon Valley. And VCs are really set the tone for the culture.
Yeah, but here's the difference between back then and now, okay? Back then and now, back then if you're working as hard as they say they are, first one in, last one out, sure, whatever. You at least could take your chunk of change and do something with it. You can keep that Intel job for like 50 years. At least you have probably like 2 houses now, a couple of cars, money in the bank, savings. You were chilling. Now, you're working 12, 16 hours just to live with Brittany in a 1,000 square foot, and that's being nice. Studio apartment, and you guys are paying $3,000 for it. So, hey, times have changed.
And, when they are investing in new founders, the next generation, picking the winners, they're not only giving them money, they're giving them mentorship. And they're like, hey, here's how you run a company. This is the sort of work culture you want to drive towards. So that chip-making DNA, kind of imagine Army barracks meets Mad Men. And that's kind of what the vibe was back then. And it was pretty hardcore.
I often do imagine that kind of scenario. I keep that in my front of mind all the time. Indeed, the culture of today's Silicon Valley represents less the kumbaya work-life balancing act of 10 years ago, and more its hard-nosed roots fertilized with techno-punk testosterone fluid. It's a new dawn. Primary colors have been replaced by blacks and grays. CEOs say the R word, and they're obsessed with bodybuilding and jujitsu and huffing raw meat.
I think the big shift that has happened now is that tech has taken on some darker undertones. It's now a power player in the White House. It's determining geopolitics. Tech bros are very self-serious. They see themselves as statesmen, and they want to work not on software, but on hardware and on technology that is going to change war. I had a quote in a story I wrote about how the young AI kids don't want to go to Burning Man anymore, when that used to be the rite of passage that every young founder wants to go to. And I'm going to read this out verbatim because it's so good. He said, "The current culture is no drinking, no drugs, 996, lift heavy, run far, marry early, track sleep, eat steak and eggs."
I have a tramp stamp that also says that. So here's the situation, folks. The era of plush-walled open office spaces you can build a pillow fort in is over. If you have one in your office, light it on fire and replace it with a shrine to White Monster. Because if you want big money in Silicon Valley, you're gonna have to be a serious company built by serious people who also love shitposting on the worst social media site in existence. Fortunately, there's a whole new generation of freshly dropped-out engineers who are willing to do whatever it takes to earn cash from the powers that be, because they think that if they're not part of building the super AI of the future, they're condemning themselves and their descendants to live in perpetual servitude. I should know. I got 4 of them living in my basement right now, suckling on protein mush like hamsters and vibe coding the god AI until we're all billionaires. Investors, my line is open, and for good work.
Well, shout outs to this situation at hand, man. The whole entire workforce situation is just, I think it's only going to get worse, to be honest, boys. So either you got to buck up and shut up, work for yourself, or get some sort of goyim slop job where you're just sucking and touching on the goyim. There's this module is blocked from loading. All right, sure. It's the module is blocked. All right, Yeet is changing. All right,
so yeah.
Hold on. Stop with the yelling. All right, let's get into this. Yeet is changing.
Has been one of the most polarizing artists to come out of the underground these past few years, from dropping groundbreaking albums like 4 Out and Up to Me, and being one of the leaders of this rage hip-hop scene. And recently, yesterday, Yeet did drop a new album, that being ADL, which has been so different from Yeet's earlier work, going away from that rage sound, which did make him initially blow up, which has been a trend with Yeet's last few albums being more and more.
I will say this regarding the other, and I don't want to be a hater. I don't want to be a hating ass nigga. because that's not my role in life. But is it just me, or, and I hate to say this, dude, is it over? Like, is that burning fire of heat that is Yeet, is it done with? Like, don't get me wrong, check this out. He's still going to put out records. He's still going to make a splash, and they're still going to put numbers up. But since like, think of Life, and then Afterlife, you know, and all those projects there, just the buzz that was around that, the energy that was around that. And then, you know, 2093 was when it started hitting low, and then Lifestyle came out, and then, is it just me, or is it just not hitting the same way? I don't know. I mean, I'm still a Yeet fan. I'm just
more different. And personally, I found Yeet's evolution always so interesting. So with Yeet's new album ADL being out, let's take a look at Yeet's evolution, how he has changed over the years, and this new album ADL. Now, one thing about Yeet that does make him different from everyone else in the era that did blow up with him is how he did take his sound to new levels. After 2 Live, which was a massive hit, Yeet would start to evolve his sound with Life and Afterlife, going for a more melodic, darker sound. But obviously after those albums, everything would shift with 2093, and this album would of course go for a more futuristic sound and be more of a mainstream appeal.
Right. And this is when he also started showing his face a lot more. The audience was like, okay, now it's time to take off the mask. Who's the man behind the mask? There's been a lot of different people that have done this, such as, man, every time I got the name, oh, RR, the nigga with the mask, RR. I'm looking like a fucking dumbass right now.
Feel like, I don't want to call Yeet a TikTok artist, but yeah, man, this album is made for TikTok edits, Instagram edits, and hey, man, I'm not bashing this album at all. Hey, personally, I fuck with 2093, but Yeet's core fan base that was once there for Up To Me and 4L had mixed opinions on Yeet's new direction, with some admiring his evolution and versatility, while others...
Yeah, I just don't understand why you guys would hate on that project. I really don't understand that. Why you guys hated on 2093. That was the perfect project of what it means to change your sound and evolve and grow. And you guys just had to shit on it. And this is terrible, because artists live in this world where, as much as they don't want to read the comments, they do, and they do let that affect them. Which is why we got Dangerous Life. A Dangerous Life is ADL, right? A Dangerous Life. It was supposed to be this ode to the return of the style, or at least the EP was leaning towards that. I can't, like, it's getting into the ASAP naming convention, but I don't know if it was A Dangerous Life or a Life Dangerous EP. Anyway, he was just trying to give the fans what they've always enjoyed, which is why he sort of stepped away from that 2093 sound. But you can hear elements of it on the new project.
There's miss his old sound like crazy. And Yeet, seeing all these fans miss his old sound, would listen to these fans and bring back the rage elements on his album Lifestyle. Now this album, bro, I don't really understand the hate, because it actually was very, very, you know, solid and had some of Yeet's best all-time work. And it felt like he evolved his rage sound on this album. But again, this would be a very hated album, as it did follow 2093. Also, fans much preferred the version 1 of this album as well. And after that, Yeet would tease ADL being his next massive album, calling it his best, dropping Dangerous Summer, which, yo, I gotta say, in...
Okay, there we go. Dangerous Summer. Man, the names are really just leaving me. Dangerous Summer, good. Good work, okay? Great work. Like the tracks, love the video with the crocodile. That's just, classic.
My opinion, was like the best project that I've heard from Yeet, being a like fan since fucking 2021. And I feel like Yeet's versatility on this album was insane, still bringing some rage tracks like Put It On God and Come and Go, but also working with new artists like FKA Twigs and diving into more genres. And like, bro, the production on this album was fucking mad, bro. Like, my first time hearing Growing Pains, bro. And this project would get everyone back on the Yeet train, beating the Wash allegations, getting another hit with Come and Go. And bro, if you do compare Dangerous Summer to Yeet's past albums, it shows his growth as
Yeah, this is true. Let's go back to these Yeet projects.
Oh, and bro, if you do compare Dangerous Summer to Yeet's past...
Alright, so Wake Up Call. Sure. Alive, 4L, Up To Me, 2 Alive, 2 Alive Geek Pack, Life, Afterlife. 10 out of 10 projects.
It shows his growth as he is diving into more genres and upping the production, and it shows the overall evolution, which is one thing that I can admire when it comes to Yeet. And after Dangerous Summer, the Dangerous Life hype would only get bigger and bigger, and it would drop last night. Now, I don't want to give a full, thorough fucking Anthony Fantano album review because it's like only been like what, 12, 13 like hours. But right off the bat, I opened Twitter this morning and I saw so much hate on this album on my timeline. Now, I played this album a few times, and based off of the first few listens, it's not anything too crazy, but the highs on this album are high. That song Went Wrong on this album with 070 Shake is the perfect definition of top tier Yeet, bro. Where did we go wrong? Where did we? I was hoping for the overall.
It's like, why do y'all niggas hate on Yeet so much when he does things that are pushing the boundaries of music, dude? like when the man's is literally on the precipice of pushing the genre in a new direction, that's when you guys hate on him. Bro.
Album sound to be that emotional, melodic, experimental sound that he did have on this song Went Wrong. Even the song with Kid Cudi and Elton John also, bro, were pretty fire. And it's like, bro, I'm not hating on this album at all, but do I think it was worth the wait? Probably not, bro. And it's like, bro, if you look at Dangerous Summer, that was the pre-EP and the build-up EP for ADL. But it's like, bro, that sounded so much better than ADL's. Fans are not rocking with ADL, calling it mainstream slop, and Yeet called his old music slop in the Apple Music interview.
I'm definitely trying to change it up, trying to give the youth some real music, some real art.
I feel the same.
I think I'm done with the slop.
Fans were like, bro, Yeet, bro, go back to making slop, hop on Perks again, get fucking fat again, bro, get off the Ozempic and fire Zach Bia. Zach Bia did sign Yeet around like 2023 to 2024. He was on an absolute independent run before signing to Zach Bia, and everyone misses pre-Zach Bia Yeet, bro. So, hey, man, I do love old.
Shout out to Zach Bia. Shout out to Zach Bia in the cut. Mr. LA DJ doing it. I'm pretty sure he was responsible for Mr. 1400, Trippie Redd, and also Yeet, but I could be wrong. 10,000 projects, but I don't think Zach Bia's label is 10,000 projects, but I don't know. New Yeet, the track, what is it? What is Naked with? She's just like what? And look at the numbers too, bro. Naked has 173,000 in one day. Usually Yeet does bigger numbers than that. So it just tells you right there the fans just aren't fucking with it. But like I always say, man, fuck the fans, bro. That's a slippery slope. That's a slippery slope. You deal with the fans, slippery slope. You don't know how far you'll go, bro, trying to listen to these niggas. You don't even know. They don't even know what the fuck they want to eat. You're going to listen to a bunch of kids on the internet? That sounds stupid. That sounds pretty dumb if you ask me, guys. Alrighty. Dedicating a song to prostitutes. Understanding creativity, the cringe of meta glasses universe. Alright, well, you know what, guys? I think that brings our stream to a good end. Yeah, 1 hour there, 2 hours everywhere else. We've done 2 hours on Kick, so I'm going to call it there. It's already 4:48. Alright, niggas. Oh, I guess we got to do one more video. What's up, guys? This is the conclusion video we do for every stream. Just give you guys some updates on everything. Listen, this video is about staying as delusional as possible. Stay delusional, stay gung-ho on whatever idea you have in your head. It might be stupid, it might be ridiculous. The idea that you're walking around in your head of who you want to be, first thing is, it needs to be so crazy and stupid that when you tell people, oh, I want to be this person, they laugh at you. Second of all, you can't look at the destination or look at the person you want to be. You have to already live in that same energy of what this person does. How does this person move? How do they react to life situations? How do they just go about life? Once you can figure that out and be that person, live in the end now, then everything else will just be attracted towards that final spot. And this other aspect that a lot of people are missing when it comes to, I guess, living their realities, right? I don't want to make this an esoteric video, but it's based in the emotion. Do you carry around this emotion of who this person is? The simplest way to think about it is, if you want to know what someone is thinking about, look at their reality. That will tell you what they're thinking about. That'll tell you their mindset of where they're at. Because what you think about is what you become, right? Once you feel it in your heart of hearts. As above, so below, right? To the heart. And so as within, so without. You have to think it first and then connect it with emotion, and then it will belong in your outside reality. I'm not a metaphysics guy. I'm just a guy that reads metaphysics. Do I know it as much as some weird yogi with long hair who sings around with his, I don't know, Inuyasha cards and incense? Probably not as much as they, but I know enough. I know enough to just know that with every single day, you're going to take one step further towards your final destination. You just have to keep that idea in your mind. Act like that person right now. Do what that person would do. Say the things they would say. Be at the places that that person would be, and everything will fall into place. And yeah, let's just keep it like that. And with that, guys, I will let you go. That's it. Don't want to be too long. That's the end of today's stream, guys. That's it. That's the end of the fucking video. I ain't got nothing else for these kids, man. I ain't got nothing else. Let's stop the stream. I'm tired of this. Tired of streaming.